Now on the Troy Laser Hotline on 97.1 The Ticket. Warwick, how you doing, man?
Good, mate. How are you?
We are very well. Thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
No problem. Anytime.
So tell us, obviously, what it's like to be a long relief guy. We were talking about this earlier. In your job, you go to work every day, and you basically have no idea if you're going to pitch or pitch a lot. How do you prepare yourself each day? I assume it's that you're going to pitch, correct?
Yeah. I mean, you got to go into the field every day and expect to pitch. And you just kind of move around every inning and see what happens. And once the phone rings, if your name gets called, and get going.
When you hear the phone ring, you sit there and say, I hope it's me, or I don't hope it's me.
Oh, you always want to pitch. You always want to get in there and help the team. And, I've been lucky enough to do that in the last 4 games.
Is there something that's changed in you since you've come back? Because you've been almost unhittable.
I was working really closely with Jeff Pico in Toledo, the pitching coach down there, and we watched some video and tried to get back to where I was, last season, and kind of figured a few things out and put them into play, and it's paying off.
It's one of those things that I think Stoney and I probably don't understand, seeing as neither one of us is an elite athlete. Stoney is, I'm not. But that is, you've done this your whole life. You've been a pitcher your whole life. And yet you go down and you mentioned Jeff Pico. A lot of people talked about working with Rich Doobie, where you might notice something that you're doing differently. Is that what it was? Was it the arm slot release point? What was it that you noticed?
There's actually multiple things. I was kind of standing a little bit more upright than previous years. My weight was kind of in the center of my body instead of normally it's over the back side of my leg. So, and also my leg lift wasn't as high. So, multiple things, and that allowed my arm to catch up and get going, and get the ball down in the zone. So, there was multiple things, and I thank Pico for catching that, because we do sit down and watch film a fair bit, and I didn't see it, and he did, so I appreciate it.
Now, obviously, Warwick, you are from Australia, and the obvious question to me is, how does somebody down under decide that he wants to play professional baseball?
I get asked this a lot. My parents grew up around a baseball background. They actually grew up. My mum grew up with the national team coach John Deeble, so she's always been around baseball, and they enrolled me to T-ball and started playing that. And then to be honest, I kind of got bored of it, so I went and played some Aussie rules and some soccer and stuff like that. Tried other things, and finally made my way back to Pee Wee baseball, and I found that more challenging. So then that's from there I fell in love with the game.
It's where Aussie rules football. Do the referees still wear those look like straitjackets, the white coats and all that?
The goal umpires do. Yeah.
It always looks so weird to me.
What? So obviously, go ahead.
Normally, only on cold days, they just go the old polo now. So the game changed a little bit.
Now, nobody gets into baseball to be a long relief guy. Most guys, when they're kids or growing up to the game, you're starting pitchers, or maybe in a rare case you want to work on being a closer. Is that your goal? Do you plan one day to be a starter in the major leagues, or are you just happy doing what you're doing?
I'm happy to help the team anyway. I started all year in Toledo, and was throwing the ball well. So whatever they want me to do, I'm happy to do. If it's start a game or throw later in the game, I'm happy, as long as I can keep going out there and keeping the game close and putting up zeros.
Did you have role models growing up? I remember there was a guy on the Tigers years ago, Brad Thomas, I think was his name. He was from Australia. Of course, Grant Balfour. Did you have idols growing up at all?
I'm actually speak to Brad and a fair bit. But my role models were hitters, because I grew up being an infielder / catcher. So I looked up to Albert Pujols, and then when I started pitching, I kind of looked up to Adam Wainwright and Chris Carpenter. So those are the guys I looked up to, and because I didn't really know of the big Australian guys in the big leagues until I started kind of playing seriously. So, and then from then, I look up to guys like, still keep close contact with guys like Liam Hendricks and Peter Moreland. So, I had my idols, but mainly they were position players at the time, actually.
Well, so when you were a kid, when you were watching like baseball back home in Perth, where I believe you grew up, or your friends saying, "What are you watching this stuff for? Who cares about this?"
Yeah, because they all played cricket. So they're like, on a Sunday, they're like, "Yeah, we're playing cricket today," and I'm off to play baseball. So they're like, "What are you doing that for?" So that's not even Australian. So I copped a little bit of grief, but I'm glad I went in that direction, and it's paying off.
We're talking with Warwick Saupold, the pitcher for the Tigers, on the Troy Laser hotline here. 97-1 the ticket. Tigers win yesterday 7-4. Another great outing for Warwick. Now it's 9:25 p.m. Monday night right now in Perth. So when you guys finished out that game, it was, I believe, if my math is correct, about 5 a.m. What does your family or friends do to follow you? Do they watch you on delay, or are they up in the middle of the night watching Tiger baseball? I guess the 7 p.m. games are perfect, as right as they're waking up, right?
Yeah, the 7 p.m. games always work. My mum is diehard. She watches every game, or tries to watch every game. She's actually in Bali at the moment on a holiday, but she said she watched the game. So she'll get up at 2 o'clock if she has to, and that's just her. She, even if I'm not pitching, she gets up, and because she knows there's a slight chance I might pitch. So she gets up and watches every game, and I thank her for that.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I was exhausted after yesterday's game. I came home and had a nap, and I turned to look at my phone, and my phone's gone mental. So it's great to have the support from back home.
See, I think if you were my kid, I would say, hey, Warwick, if they have you get up in the bullpen, will you text us? Because I think if you're not going to pitch, I'm not sure I want to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning. But if you're up warming up, I guess there's a chance you could come into the game.
Yeah, I wish that could happen. That would help a lot of people out. But,
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, no phones in the bullpen for me, unfortunately.
Now, you mentioned Pujols. He comes in, obviously, as you know, tomorrow. Have you faced him before? And what's it going to be like facing somebody who you admire so much?
Yeah, actually, I faced him last year. I was in LA just before I got hurt, and I actually brushed his jersey by accident. So that was a little bit of an interesting thing to hit my idol growing up. But yeah, it's always fun facing those kind of guys, and gives you a little bit more of adrenaline rush. And LA will come to town, and they got a lot of good hitting guys on that team. So it'll be fun to face all those guys.
Last thing from me, you've obviously been with the team off and on the last 2 years, but with them last month or so. What is the attitude in the clubhouse, especially coming off of a 4-game winning streak and winning 5 out of 6? Do you feel like things have turned around a little bit, or has it been the same consistent attitude throughout?
When we were, that road trip was a tough road trip. It's probably the toughest road trip I've ever been on, even throughout the minor leagues. I know there was a few days there where I think I counted I had 14 hours sleep or something in 3 days, and for a professional athlete, that's not good, and that's just what the schedule was, and we had to deal with that. So, it was tough, but everyone stayed positive. Everyone came into the day ready to go and knew what they had to work on. And getting shut out's not fun, but everyone knew the bats were going to come around, and we showed that the last few days. So. It's fun times in the clubhouse right now, and all we got to do is keep it moving and build on it and see what happens.
What are you doing on an off day?
Good question. Probably sleep in a little bit, try and hit up a driving range and hit some golf balls. I love my golf, so those probably 2 things on the agenda today, and the other thing is probably just pull my feet up and relax a little bit.
All right. Hey, Warwick, we really appreciate the time. Do enjoy the day off, and congrats on the success so far. Keep it going. Thanks for the time.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, Warwick Saupold.